for Mouse, something like 12 years.
It's definitely a long
11
time.
years. It's a lot, yeah.
I don't want to guess because I kind of remember him joining Mouse when he was like 15 or something. And I remember like Mouse, they've had a long history with quite a few German players actually with RTS. Like Hasselhoffs was also with Mouse for like 7 years or something, you know, and like he was their kind of sole German. Mouse used to be big actually back in, or when I say used to be big, used to be like Mana, Nama, Big Gabe joined them, and he was the little boy at the time, but then became the legend that he is. And Milkicow, up to no good straight away. I like it.
The best investment Mouse ever made.
Actually, yeah, I was about to try and disagree with, but I can't.
Like some Counter-Strike team or something, but they're not that great. So yeah, I mean, Big Gabe by far is.
Is that a Counter-Strike team? Not good.
It's good. It's just never like great, you know.
Okay. I mean, I'm not going to speak about things that I'm not 100% sure of. I know they had they definitely had some good players here and there.
They have great players here and there, yeah, but they never
had Big Gabe on their lineup.
They never had, yeah. They're never a big game level, yeah.
They're like, come on, Big Gabe, join us. Like, we'll finally win the major with you if you join and play with us this year. And Gabe's like,
they need Big Gabe as their star upper. Then they'll make it. Yeah.
I've got a weekly win.
Minus Torsi plus Big Gabe.
This build from Milkicow actually is very scary to go up against because it's going to be quite a few Reapers against, well, significantly less Reapers, and it's one of those builds that's meant to eliminate your opponent very quickly. Not super all in, but it can absolutely catch you off guard. And what Gabe's done here, gone for a 2-gas opening. Not the worst thing to go up against it, but he didn't scout, and he didn't go for an expo first, which is also not too bad for him. But seeing this, he's going to be like, oh, look at that. Quite a few Reapers immediately.
Yeah, and I mean, both of the Reapers from Milkicow are bruised. I don't know if I like this building the bunker right now, simply because it's 2 versus 2 at the moment, right? So taking the SCV out of the fight makes it so that I think Big Gabe has the advantage. And now, I mean, yeah, is he just dead?
Well, you think Big Gabe's got the advantage, and now you know he's got the advantage. Like, Gabe is in all sorts of good news here, all a good situation. Shouldn't lose a Reaper, but he might. Oh, nice micro Big Gabe. And, you know, there's a few unlucky situations for Milkicow in the fight before, kind of rocket jumped on one of his own grenades, and now he might lose all those Reapers, very possibly. Oh, that was a good first grenade. Oh!
Another one.
Another one.
Another one. I mean, yeah, he bounced those Hellions around. But yeah, he's kind of GG out. And I mean, that's fair enough. One of the fastest games that we have had here, as Milkicow will give the camera a little bit of a smile there, so not too flustered, perhaps. But yeah, what do you think, Ben? I mean, yeah, what went wrong? What could have changed?
So what went wrong? I mean, a lot went wrong, Cats. But I think, like, trying to do a build like that, I think your second Rax has to be closer to your opponent. Obviously, you risk getting scared a little bit, but having that 3 Reaper situation arrive very quickly, it's quite important. But yeah, losing one of your first jobbers there, very sad. And Big Gabe's just so solid. Like, that can look like it can get out of control very quickly, but HeroMarine had a nice step on the top of his ramp kind of thing. There's no way for you to bounce from side to side on Hardwire. Like, you have to commit to one angle, because getting from the natural all the way around into the main, it's impossible. So I don't think this was quite the map for it, but as Jess was saying beforehand, Milkicow is yet to win like even a game against HeroMarine in competitive play, and there's a reason for it. Big Gabe is just so solid, man. He's huge.
He is, yeah. And so if I'm understanding correctly, you don't think it's the right map because there's not too many avenues for the Reapers, like, to come in? Yeah. Like, okay.
If I think about maps in the past where this kind of stuff can be a little bit better, it's where your opponent has to build a bunker. Do you ever have it where you blank out when you try and think of perfect maps for situations, and it's like, oh yeah, that one?
I think Berlingrad, for example, there's a little jumpy spot into the natural, so there's like 3 points of entry. Not sure if that would be better.
Yeah, it's. Let's use 2K atmosphere here as an example. Like there's one jump, or there's 2 jumps into the main, but you can kind of cover them with 1 bunker. But even forcing that bunker, like getting from there to the front, is a lot quicker than Hardwire.
I see.
Anyhow, here, spawning in the bottom left of 2K Atmosphere as our blue Terran, it is Milkicow.
And in the top right-hand side, it is the largest game in the world, HeroMarine for mouse. So not just the amount of avenues that you have to enter the other player's space, but also the proximity between those avenues, so you can go between them basically.
Exactly. Like you remember playing Submarine, right? And it was like your natural, and you could go into the natural from 2 avenues from the cliff below, and then you can go into the main as well. It was just kind of like the Dream Reaper map for a while. It just made it very difficult, and I think way back to maps like, it wasn't Frost, it was like Frozen Temple or something, like a very small 2-player map. Might not be Frozen Temple, but it was something frozen. Very good for Reapers. It's where Beyond was doing.
I know which one you're saying. King Sejong Station you're talking about.
Oh no, that one wasn't good for Reapers, I feel.
Really? Because it had like this back alley that was kind of nasty.
It did have that back alley. It just, you also had like, in fact, I really like King Sejong Station. Like your natural, there was kind of only one way into it until you killed those rocks, which kind of made it a bit tricky. But anyhow, HeroMarine's actually scouting this time with a SCV, just making sure that his opponent ain't up to no good. Get to see the factory going down as well. Both players scouted this time, actually, so they both know what the other one's doing.
No doubt. And they're both mirroring each other, so maybe a further opportunity. So just, because I mean, that game was so fast, right? And there's not too much going on right now, but yeah, so a lot of the time when I see that strategy, I see both Barracks Proxy. And that seems like a little bit more reasonable of a commitment, but you're saying even just one, if it's closer, it will allow for the 3rd Reaper to arrive considerably faster.
Like the 4th.
I see.
It's a tricky one, because it kind of, it came into play when builds were slightly different, and it would really kind of steamroll your opponent. But again, it kind of requires your opponent not exactly knowing what's going off. I like this switch up by, in fact, both of them. They've both gone for like the Scout, then they realized and go Reaper into Reactor. And it just means that you'll get out the 3 Reapers /5 if you want to do a bit more of an all-in play or an attack play. But it just grants you that Reactor a little bit earlier, meaning that you can switch to Marines faster and all that stuff. Just a nice little shortcut into a more stable infrastructure, if you will. But yeah, the builds are super mirrored by both of these guys this game.
Mega ultra mirrored. Who are they copying here? Or who is the person that invented this? Because it is mega mirrored, right? Like
I mean, the only deviation is here where Milkicow is going for the Marines, and it's Big Gabe actually going for the this could end up 5 or 7 Reapers. Like, it could be crazy, but this build came into play because for a long time, it was either you expand or you go gas first, barracks, gas, which nowadays it's barracks, gas, gas. And it's a little bit better. I don't know why it took us all so long to figure it out, but it kind of came out during the King of Battles, where it was people like Cure actually was one of the first doing it, along with like Maru and stuff. And as soon as one guy did it, it was just like, oh, this is actually just a tiny little bit better, meaning it's way better.
Yeah. All right, so HeroMarine is going to poke here. He's going to spot one of those Marines, and he's going to think, okay, maybe I can go in. And with those 2 extra Reapers, he does have a little bit more firepower, but Milkicow has the preemptive setup. Now bunched up is Milkicow, but with the Cyclone, he should be able to push this back easily and stabilize. And actually, he is faster to his Raven, so in making those Marines instead of the Reapers, he is able to get his tech units a little bit faster.
Yeah, it's... If I didn't have the name tags on for this game, I just said that HeroMarine was the blue player, just because that build seems a lot more, just solid. But we'll see what happens afterwards, because this could be a nice little catch. And look, the Vision's lost there for the Cyclone, so the lock-on's just completely gone. And now Milkicow's in a little bit of trouble because he doesn't really want to bring his Marines out onto the map either, and those units are stranded.
Yeah, so HeroMarine is hunting for them right now. He's not going to be able to find them in the first roundabout, but he's going to find a couple of Reapers that we're trying to get across the map, maybe just to get some scouting information. So one of those is going to be punished by the Cyclone, and at least Milkicow will be able to reunite his units together, right? So not too heavy of a loss there.
Not too heavy. Could have been a lot worse. You're absolutely right. Both of them have gone into their 3rd CC, both making their 2nd Raven. And they're both starting to produce tanks. Now, HeroMarine was a little bit faster with his tanks. Oh, he got a lock on the Cyclone itself, though. That is nice by him. And so far, the trades have... It's not been 10 times better for one player. In fact, they're both still very closely situated in supply.
Yeah, but we can see also the HeroMarine effect here. He's already a couple of SCVs up just by virtue of not missing any cycles, right? So it is, both of these players are obviously professional players. They're going to be very good at not missing those cycles, but we can see, I mean, HeroMarine is just the tiniest bit better at that.
Yeah, like he's... I've always thought of HeroMarine as kind of a... and I'll always revert back to this. When I was playing Tony Hawk's when I was a kid, and they used to have like these stats, right? Like it was like, this guy's air time is 10 out of 10, but he sucks at speed. He's like 4 out of 10. Big Gabe for me has always been like across everything. And let's say there's like 15 categories. He's like 9 out of 10, 9 out of 10, 9 out of 10. Like really damn solid and well-rounded. And here you just kind of see that like macro-wise, he won't miss a beat. Micro-wise, he's also going to be pretty damn freaking solid. And little things like Stim is faster, his 1-1's a little bit faster. And we're probably going to see all of that line up continually. So trying to go against somebody that's that bulletproof in a matchup like TVT where, it comes to how to break somebody eventually with patience, is just very, very difficult to deal with.
And that is part of what makes him, even in his own mind, that has made him in his own mind for so long, the gatekeeper, right? Like the person that is just so difficult to get past because he is so consistently good. Like he doesn't mess up and drop games usually to players that are worse, whereas players that have a little bit more of like what Big Gabe himself would consider an X factor, that will be looking for those opportunities, for those fancier plays to outplay your opponent, that can mess you up. That can mean that you slip and all of a sudden you drop like a series, I don't know, to Soul Spirit, right?
Yeah, no, totally. I've got a random fact for you, by the way. You ready?
Give.
I once went to McDonald's with Big Gabe while he was at an event.
Already.
And what would you think Big Gabe's order would be at McDonald's?
A Big Mac, naturally, with Coke.
So he ordered 3 Big Macs and 2 McChicken sandwiches. And I was like,
oh, what? Why?
I was like, oh, who else are you buying for? And he's like, no one, I'm bulking. And I was like, what?
That's incredible.
And then he ate them all. Like,
what a god.
Yeah. And I was like, what the hell? Like, because, we all joke about Big Gabe being Big Gabe, but, he's not exactly the biggest, actually. Like, his presence can't actually be, well, it's his physical form that can be measured, but it's his presence that's big, right? Yeah. So the fact that he just dominated these 5 massive burgers and like said he wants to go back to McDonald's, I was thoroughly shocked.
He said he wants to go back after. That's incredible.
Yeah, he said he could eat more.
What an absolute beast. Yeah, I was expecting he would just order the most standard thing that you can order, right? Like that was kind of like the Sandster order is like whenever we would go to like Burger King, he's getting the Whopper, and at Big Mac he's getting the Big Mac, and usually just with a Coke, not a Sprite, not a Fanta, nothing fancy, just the classic. So I thought that was where you were going with that. That was even better.
So just talking about Big Macs, because this is what I'm focused on now. I also once had a Big Mac eating competition with X-Lord, if you remember him.
Yeah.
Do you know how many Big Macs he could eat?
I'm gonna say 7.
He couldn't eat 1.
He couldn't eat 1?
He stopped at 1. He was like, oh man, it's too much, dude.
That's incredible. Yeah,
he sucked.
That's gotta be some sort of sin, like an opposite of gluttony.
Yeah, he was, like, to be fair, he was only like 15 at the time, but still, it was weak. All right, okay, this game. To be fair, both of them are hitting their upgrades real damn cleanly. Look at that as well. Their starports, I'm just looking at the time, they're 1 second apart and producing them at exactly the same time. Like, this is a really close TVT.
Very interesting fight here, and it's an anti-armor missile that hits onto all of those Marines, and Big Gabe decides to take the fight regardless. Obviously, he had more Marines on site, so it's a very difficult equation. It's a very unique situation for him to take that fight, and I think he was kind of wrong in taking it, because if he didn't drop the auto turret from the Raven first, I think he was starting to lose that one.
Oh, yeah, totally. And here, look at that. Lots of CCs going down on the side of Big Gabe. And even though you're totally right, that fight was maybe a little bit misjudged, it's also not a terrible thing to trade out a lot of your Marines at this point. The supplies are kind of closing in on what is max. Those Viking counts are getting very high as well. And the Marines, as soon as tanks hit +2 weapons, they become significantly worse. Just because they get one shot then by the tanks instead of 2 shots. So their time to be amazing is not it's not a long period of time. And one thing that we saw Maru start doing recently is what you see in fact, both of their production tabs. Instead of getting that 3-3 as fast as possible, you have +2 weapons like Milkicow is doing on tanks. You get Corvid Reactor, you get the Ravens, the Vikings, all that kind of stuff. So they're both actually doing stuff that is really, really top meta kind of thing these days.
All right, so both players keeping up to date definitely on what the standard is and what they are meant to be doing, I guess, if they want to trade as efficiently as the Overmind has decided. And Cyclone's going to get picked off on this Watchtower. But again, another unit that probably doesn't have much impact right now. Not the type of unit that you want to allocate to your attention individually. And there's a little bit of a run by, but it's mostly Marine, so good that you touched on that, Ben, because now we know that he's okay losing this, but maybe he finds some damage. It's even better. Oh, not about those, though.
No, I definitely don't want to be giving those away for free at all. Soon we're going to start, well, I think we already see the second armories out for these players, and that's when you start getting the air upgrades along with the armor and such, because +2 tanks is about as far as you really want to or need to go, just because it deals with Marines. After that, it's like, okay, all about the air battle. And keeping those air units alive and in high numbers, high value and stuff. But this is actually really cool to see that Milkicow is going into a late game and not far behind at all. In fact, completely even with HeroMarine. It's a really close game.
Yeah, absolutely. In fairness, it's kind of been both players kind of playing their own game. Like, this might as well be a single player game, right? Like, there haven't been many altercations past the very early game. And that one fight in the middle, and Milkicow now trying to make something happen with a relatively unimportant squad of Marines on the other side. So he is I think in my mind, proving not so much that he can keep up with Big Gabe, but rather that, he knows the build order and he can execute it well enough on his own.
Yeah, certainly. Let's have a little count of how many orbitals we have for both these players. HeroMarine currently on 8, Milkicow on 7. And you're going to see so many scans going off, because at this point, it's not about the mules necessarily. Like, yes, you can cut down on SCVs at some point, but it's just about vision and knowledge of what your opponent's doing and where he is. Because if you get to the other side of the map and your opponent's not in position, boom, you kill the whole infrastructure main. Look at that, by the way. Sneaky fake medevacs at the bottom of the map. He's really trying to throw Milkicow out of position there.
Yeah, and this is gonna be the first relevant move out of the game. This is about to decide something, right? Like, it's gonna decide if they engage. Someone's gonna have an advantage getting out of this. But Big Gabe just chooses to chill for now, and that is perfectly reasonable. Milkicow, blessed by not reacting here.
Absolutely. And look at those upgrades, by the way. Totally ignoring the +3 on the tanks and getting everything else. It just shows you how important it is. So if you're at home thinking, hey, I get +3 on tanks in TVT, when you're against Marine bio blobs and stuff, there's almost no point. Almost no point. Much better to focus on the air upgrades. Far more pivotal at this stage of the game.
What adjective would you give to that person?
I have no idea.
The person that's at home thinking that. Judging you.
Oh, I don't know. Be kind. Be nice.
Be nice.
Yeah, no mean judgerino, please. Oh, okay. Milkicow feeling a bit feisty, but
yeah, a little too feisty, perhaps. Kind of a little bit weird. I guess you do have a lot of energy to spend, but I mean, yeah, I guess if nothing happens for a while, then this goes unpunished. And in the fight, it's gonna be difficult to utilize all of those spells anyway. But those were pretty inconsequential, so not really gonna amount to anything.
No, certainly not. I like this little outpost by the Watchtower, by the way, that Milkicow has. Like, if we look at his vision, that is such a nice little spot just to make sure he's not going to get attacked over there. And Milkicow trying to sneak an expo in the top left as well. Like, because HeroMarine's got this kind of little bit of a hold on him, but Milkicow's not going to take it sitting down.
Yeah, and finally he's gonna get a pretty good siege here. At least it's gonna force a little bit of a lift off. Oh, actually in range of the planetary fortress is a nice position to have. There is about 1 billion ravens on the side of Big Gabe, so all of these tanks won't have too much trouble getting dislodged if Big Gabe wants to, you know, hammer it down. On the other side are all the Vikings of Milkicow, but that means that Big Gabe is aware, and that means he can fly the ravens somewhat freely here without any sort of punishment. And like I said, all of those tanks will be taken down.
I actually like how Milkicow's playing this game. Like, I think one big thing that could bite him is the fact that HeroMarine's actually killed off quite a few of his SCVs. And so his army is a little bit more powerful, impactful. But look how Milkicow's doing this. He's actually landing and taking out the tanks. That means his tanks can get in position. In fact, whereabouts are they? Oh, in fact, they're way far back. He's just doing this with pure air forces.
Yeah, that's actually kind of crazy, but I also kind of thought that Big Gabe would continue to push on the other side of the map. I feel like retreating is giving this army a little bit too much respect, perhaps. I don't know, because with all the ravens and knowing that your opponent's air fleet is on the other side, can't you just continue to push and kill all the tanks and, you know, siege the important bases? Kind of like how he just easily dislodged those 4 or 5 tanks that were sieging his base.
I actually think so. I think this might be HeroMarine just being like, okay, I don't want this game to get too crazy and get out of control, because he didn't know necessarily where all of Milkicow was. If he had all the answers right there and then maybe, but he also knows he's given up a lot of SCVs, so remaxing isn't as... In fact, when I say he's given up a lot of SCVs, his income's still way higher. 16 orbitals versus 9. Big game.
Jeez Louise. Gabe, and that is just expertly done. I mean, at some point he did drop like 1 trillion orbitals, and Milkicow dropped some himself, but that's not enough to keep up with Big Gabe at the moment. And now Big Gabe is using that energy on the ravens frivolously, and now his Vikings also seem to have attained their control for him. So all advantages now in favor of the Gabriel.
Absolutely. And that Viking count, 26-8. Literally more than 3 times the number. The Raven count's really close for both of them, but it does feel like HeroMarine's got mad control of the skies, which is what this is all about. And resources lost tab, it was very even for quite some time. Now, absolutely not. And HeroMarine is bullying around the young Russian.
And it looks like he wants to go for it too. He's gonna land, but actually there's enough Marines here that they might look to punish a lot of these Vikings. Big Gabe is now having to retreat a little bit. Will siege in the back. A lot of energy still remaining for Milkicow, and will manage to disable all of those tanks. Now pushing on forward, and with auto turrets, it might be an overextension at the end of the day for Big Gabe. But as the rest of the interference matrices recede in the back, Big Gabe ends up holding his position. That got close though, Ben, no?
I'm to be honest, I'm a fan of Big Gabe, right? The fact that he landed those Vikings when he had control of the skies, I have no idea why he did that. That was... I
agree, yeah.
Super crazy. And look at Milkicow now. Now he's got control of the skies. It should not be like this.
It should not be like that. I think he completely underestimated the amount of Marines that were still in the game available for Milkicow, because those Vikings, they had to retreat pretty fast. And I mean, for what? I mean, you already have control. You already disabled the tanks. You have more tanks. You have more air. You have all the key units, right, to slowly siege. You don't need to push the issue by trying to push on faster just by landing your Vikings. I feel like unnecessary style moves there. And now Milkicow kind of back in the game. He's still a little bit behind. Don't be confused by the workers. He is still going to be lagging in income, or at about even at least, just due to the amount of orbital commands.
Oh, these tanks, they thought they were being sneaky and stealthy. Oh, the turrets around. I like it. I like it. All right, next kind of phase coming out from Milkicow here. He's like, all right. It's getting a little bit static. He does have both corner bases kind of going down, by the way, which is cool. Not yet mining from either one, which, you know, doesn't make it too impactful. That drop, by the way, can't really do much against planetary fortresses with all the upgrades going, such as range and armor. But yeah, this is going to be really hard for him to hold here, because Big Gabe's army is huge.
And it is controlled by Big Gabe to make it worse.
So HeroMarine has double the number of tanks. What are you giggling at? What's got you chuckling? I hear you.
Nothing.
All right.
Nothing. You just went like, Like, yeah. It's good.
I'm glad that got you. Oh, Milkicow's doing a really good job of just catching HeroMarine when he's not really looking.
Yeah, very difficult to siege at this point, right? When the army of Milkicow is kind of on your tail. So Big Gabe does well to siege the tanks that are kind of reinforcing and well way in the back, and that makes it so that Milkicow has to disengage. Now Big Gabe taking a pretty strong position here. Does he have enough air? Who has more air? Who do you like here?
Big Gabe.
Gabriel.
All right, he takes down that base. I don't think HeroMarine has smart servos. Oh, wait, no, he does have smart servos. That's really good. Helps the lifting and landing of the Vikings a lot. Lots of auto turrets. Holy crap, there's more auto turrets than Marines on the side of Big Gabe at this point, and he just shafted that army of Milkicow. Ate him like a Big Mac.
Ate him like a Big Mac, but he has another 4 or so to eat, so he's gonna move on to the next one. And Milkicow is not really ready for this one either. And I mean, at this point, he is in a lot of trouble. Big Gabe already, or continuing to be maxed. He still has a bank of 2,700 resources or so to spare, whereas Milkicow is broke and not even maxed. So this is not looking good. The air battle now once again going in favor of Big Gabe. The high ground is what he is also working with. So, yep, this is just no bueno.
Yeah, 30 Vikings on the side of HeroMarine, and that orbital count, he stopped at 16, which, you know, isn't even excessive. He's actually been ahead in mining, I think, for a long time as well, despite being behind, like, half the workers. He's just been muling non-stop. And these fights are so chaotic. Take it away, Cats.
It is so chaotic right now. I'm gonna take it away as this fight will continue. I mean, it's a lot of posturing here. Let's see what happened. You made it sound like there was about to happen something super exciting was about to happen. Oh, maybe you were right, Benny. As finally the Vikings turn around onto each other, and they're gonna be both orange. Now Milkicow is hoping that he has more Vikings. Does he have more Vikings? He does. And in having more Vikings, he is gonna start pushing HeroMarine back. But now HeroMarine has more Vikings, and that means that he is gonna start pushing Milkicow back. He's gonna land onto these tanks, Benny, and with that, he is gonna retreat.
Oh, I thought you were gonna say take it away, Benny. I was gonna be like, all right, so many Vikings, and boom, GG, I took it away.